I'll start things off by saying I went to a meeting today at what used to be an old Hollywood haunt. And I was meeting an old friend of mine who lives out of town, sort of out of town. I mean, he's in Arrowhead, so that's far enough out of town to be considered out of town. And he was really coming to me with a proposition. He has a book that he's written and he thinks it would make an interesting television series, and I think he's right. And he wanted to know what to do to pursue that. And I said, well, what if I helped you? And he was like, well, I didn't expect that, but that sounds really interesting. And I said, well, I do have a connection at one of the cable networks that I think would probably be a good fit for this. It's not the only one that I think would be a good fit, but it's one of the ones that I think would be a good fit. Let me make a phone call and see if I can get a meeting where we could pitch it. He was like, well, okay, this is not what I expected to come out of this lunch. And it certainly wasn't what I expected to come out of the lunch. But you know what? You just never know what's going to happen. You go to lunch with an old friend thinking I'm just going to go see an old friend, and a deal could come out of it. Now, this could end up being absolutely nothing. You know, I could wind up not being able to get a meeting, or I could wind up selling a series. Who knows? It could go from zero to all the way to a deal being made. We'll see. But you never know. You absolutely never know. And like I say, never say no. You just always take the opportunities that present themselves to you and see them through. Say, what the heck? Let's see where it goes. How many hoops are there from an idea to a final TV deal? Oh, many. Many hoops. Since I've never actually gone all the way to a final TV deal, I don't know exactly how many hoops there are, but it can be a few hoops to very many. So it just kind of depends on how anxious they are for your particular subject and your deal. If they really, really like your deal, it could be a very few hoops, but it could also be many, many hoops. So we'll see. If you're able to get in the room and pitch, that's the first hoop, being able to get in the room and actually pitch the idea. Now, this is not the first book that I've had an ability to pitch. This is not the first time I've had the rights to a book, and the last time I had the rights to a book, I just cold called because, you know, I didn't know anyone, and I just picked up the phone and went through and found out the names of development people, and I called them. I just cold called them. And I finally got through to someone at Showtime and said, I got the rights to this book, and I pitched it to him right on the phone, told him what the book was about, and he was like, sounds interesting to me, send me the book. So I sent him the book. Now, it didn't result in anything, but that it got that far was further than I had ever gotten before. So I figure, okay, well, maybe this time I'll get a little further and I'll actually get in the room and be able to pitch the concept in the room. You never know. Sometimes you have something that someone says, great, you get in the room, you pitch it, and they say, okay, write up a treatment or write up a pilot. When they say write up a treatment or write up a pilot, that's where you get the next step. That's the next hoop. And then if they like it, then you go through the next hoop, which is, you know, actually making a deal. We'll see. You never know. Like I said, I don't say no at this point because he's a friend. It's a great book. It's a different take on a familiar topic, but a completely different take that's never been done before. That's usually something that will hook somebody at a studio level. If it's a familiar story but a familiar take, that's usually not something that will hook someone. But if it's a familiar story but a completely different take, that can be enough to hook somebody's interest. So we'll see. We'll see if it does.